What happens when doing the right thing opens the door to something monstrous? Today, I'm joined by filmmaker Brian Sepanzyk, writer and director of the short horror film Defile. His work explores empathy, survival, generational trauma, and the moment ordinary human discomfort turns into existential dread. Brian is also the filmmaker behind Compulsion and In the Shadow of God, works visual effects, and plays in the Vancouver punk band Waingro. This is the Dark Mind Podcast. If you enjoy the show, you can support it for free by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Your support helps keep the dark conversation alive. So without further ado, I give you Brian Sepanzyk. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me on this 15th day of May 2026 to discuss your latest short film, Defile. So to give a brief synopsis for the listeners at home, the film is about a couple slipping away to a remote cabin for a quiet getaway, only to have that solitude punctured by a visit from a strange family. What begins as an uncomfortable social encounter pulls the couple into the horrors that lie beyond the tree line, where the rules of safety stop applying. Something older and uglier than ordinary human cruelty starts to surface, and that is where the story takes off. So, what was the emotional hook of Defile for you before it became a plot?
I think it was playing with empathy and empathy and survival, really, because the story is centered around the one family having empathy for the other, and then it turns itself into this horrific tale of survival through the night. So I think that's kind of the emotional core for me. In a more abstract way, it's also a story that is dealing with a relationship that is ending, and how they kind of need to tear away from each other. One person needs to kill that side of it. So there's a few things at play, but those are kind of the main things.
Yeah, when I was watching it, it brought to mind, I have this probably very unhealthy, I wouldn't say obsession, but preoccupation would probably be a better word with that old phrase, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, definitely.
Well, defile, the word, implies something sacred being violated. What's the sacred thing in the story, and how does it get corrupted?
It's an interesting question. I wonder if empathy would be the main thing that it gets corrupted. Being there for strangers, showing yourself, opening the door to people who are in need, and then having that kind of turn on its face in your face. And probably the emotional core of Ash, the main character as well. But I guess those two kind of go hand in hand. But those, to me, kind of feel like what that would be if you're talking sacred things.
And I may be experiencing some sort of strange Mandela effect, but it was raining when they got there, right?
It was, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we shot in Vancouver in January, so there was in British Columbia in Canada, so there's no getting around rain. Actually, it was what meteorologists now call an atmospheric river, which is a new thing that is a new norm, where it basically just dumps immense amounts of rain on you. It made for an interesting shoot, that's for sure.
Yeah. very expensive, high-tech equipment and pouring rain does not sound like a. I'm so meticulous with, especially technical stuff that I own. Like, it bothers me. I like obsessively OCD, obsessively recheck my desk before I leave my office every time just to make sure nothing's wrong. It's all good.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank God we had a camera crew who are very meticulous with this stuff. So that worked out well. But yeah, it's just, you can't get away from it. You can't escape it. Technology these days, luckily, is advanced way more, but you still have to wrap everything, especially, camera and all that. But yeah, cruises challenges. But again, Vancouver is built for that. We've got the crews there. So thankfully.
Yeah. Well, circling back to the movie, the visitors in question don't just trespass, they drag a whole different set of boundaries into the couple's space. What human behavior were you putting under a spotlight in that encounter? And I understand we've, been talking a lot about empathy, but I don't know. I feel like I'm answering the question before you get a chance
No,
to.
please. Yeah.
But the word self-preservation, or the phrase self-preservation, comes to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the core of it is the question, or the statement, sorry. I would do anything for my family. And then the question to that is, what would you do if someone else presented that same thing, but at your peril, right? So I would do this for myself. This other family that shows up is doing the same thing. They're, like you said, they're in survival mode. So they're acting on that same kind of core principle. We're just doing what we would do anything for our family. But unfortunately, you guys have to suffer for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the great compelling element of the morally gray in a story, right? Like, I mean, yeah, they're doing something horrible, but at the same time, you're like, well, I get it, but God, do they have to? Well, I guess they kind of have to, but
they have to,
you know, that's
what makes it so fun. Absolutely. And it's because you understand, or at least we hope that comes across, that you do understand that, it's this family that needs to do this to survive. So they can do everything they can.
And is it the maternal instinct on steroids that causes the woman to make the most aggressive posture, like the matriarch of the family? I mean, she's the one that's like takes care of business.
Yeah. Well, I think there's always going to be a maternal instinct that is going to be stronger, to have that connection with the child, this thing that they've created, so I think that kind of goes naturally for it. I also thought it was just kind of a fun character thing too, to have her really drive this. And like you said, it's just the maternal instincts kicking in. It's like, Henry, her husband, Henry, like, get your shit together. We talked about this on our way here. Here we are, like, stop fucking around.
Yeah.
So, I just thought was kind of also a fun thing where Henry's like, nervous about it. It's all kind of on the fly. But yeah, Mother was a really fun character to write. And, our friend Sarah Canning, who played her, who's immensely talented, just took that character and ran. I loved it. Every time she's on screen, I get up and clap.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine me and my wife, if we were on the other side of the table watching them, would probably have that same look like, I think you guys need to go now.
Yeah, it's probably time to call it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely. Well, the first threat in Defile isn't violence, it's discomfort, just like I spoke of, that creeping, like, what is happening? I mean, it starts with not quite an invasion, but you see a family with a child that need help. So it's like, oh, I don't really want to do this right now. They were already having their own issues and were trying to stay isolated. And then they show up, but it's like, well, you can't just send them back out into the wild. So there's a little discomfort there, but you follow the social contract and do what you need to do. And then they start getting a little aggressive and you're a little bit more uncomfortable until that aggression crests. And it's like, okay, now we're just into existential dread and fear. So how did you want that unease to build before the audience knows what kind of horror story they're in?
Yeah, it was a fun thing to play with. Hitchcock talks about the bomb under the table. So it was fun to have them literally at that table as we kind of increased the tension in that scene. But yeah, I really wanted to subvert audiences' expectations with that. So you're thinking it's going one way, it then goes another way, but even we build on top of that. So that was really the initial. They come in very pleasant. Like you said, you're not going to turn this family away. There's a kid with them, but it's uncomfortable because they're still like, where the fuck did you come from? We're in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Couple of flags. And, yeah. And then just building off of that, the intention wasn't to be like, don't empathize with people and like, see, don't trust anybody. It wasn't that, but it is a fun thing to play on where that's the upside that this family has in their situation. It's like, you're not going to turn us away. Maybe if it was just the mom and the dad, but when you see the kid, you're like, yeah, okay, come on in. So it was just a fun thing to really have the characters to motivate them.
Yeah, sans the kid, I think I would have been like, we'll call somebody for you. Just stay out there.
Yeah, you guys just wait here in the rain. You're already wet, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Well, they had a covered porch, didn't they? Or was that in the back?
That's true. No, you're right. We did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about the bomb under the table. Was it Hitchcock that did, I think it's called The Rope, where two men strangle a man and they put him, I think, in some sort of a box or something, and then they drape a tablecloth over it and have a dinner party?
Oh, wow. I mean, I should know this if it's Hitchcock.
It's probably not Hitchcock. I think it might be somebody else. I guess it's kind of obscure. The Rope more... Oh, no, it is. Okay, 1948 Hitchcock film.
Oh, damn. Early.
Yeah. Check that out. I watched, I don't know. I was raised in a very conservative, started off Pentecostal and then went like non-denominational. And we were over at probably the most hardcore people that went to our church. I was friends with their son staying the night when I was younger, and they let us watch that for some reason.
Amazing. Nice.
Well, there's a specific dread in suspecting you're overreacting, then learning you weren't. How much of Defile is about the cost of ignoring your own alarm bells?
Yeah, it goes back to that whole situation where you're not going to turn this family away. And then by the time they are realizing that they've made the wrong decision, it's too late. They're in the house and the move gets made. They're had and they're at the mercy of these people now, which is... You can see it in Sean, the guy, when he opens the door, Ash's boyfriend, like you said, they come from the argument, knock on the door like, the fuck? And then it's a family, even more weird, but he's like, yeah, sure. I guess you can come in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night. So yeah, it's unfortunate that their flags go off when it's too late, I guess.
Yeah, it's really soul crushing because it's like, you are suffering severe consequences because you failed to have faith in yourself, like your gut feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're like, have you ever seen that movie? I think it's Speak No Evil, Christian Taftrup. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, people pleasing par excellence, you know, like you don't want to offend anybody, so you let them kill you, you know, type of thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, the original was amazing. Actually, the remake I thought wasn't too bad either. I thought they did a great job.
So was it? Because I'm like, no, I'm not watching the remake.
I know. I'm usually that way. It took us a bit to get to, but James McAvoy is incredible.
Oh, I did not know he was in it.
Yeah,
that changes things.
He plays the main bad dude, and he does it well. Big shoes to fill. So it's worth checking out. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Martyrs had a redo, and I was like, no, I'm not watching. I mean, I actually heard horrible things about that. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, I won't watch that either. I want the Lagier. Is his last name Lagier?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, who would ever want to touch a movie that's perfect like that? I don't know.
Yeah. Like I don't know, for the longest time, it was mine and my wife's favorite movie. It may still be. I don't know.
That's amazing. I showed my wife that and she's like, never show me that again.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing. We have very divergent tastes in what we do, our jobs and everything, but we love horror movies. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of time to watch them anymore.
Right. Yeah. I heard the alarm bells for her went off in Martyrs when it was a special edition when the director's basically like, if you haven't seen this, I'm really sorry. This movie's really fucked up, but I think it's cool. So enjoy. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, a guy that I know kind of in the community, he did a review because I kept telling him, you got to see this movie. You got to see this movie. And he did a review on it. And he said something about it being misogynistic, I guess because women are tortured. But I'm like, the whole point of that movie is the reason they're torturing women is because that in the case of the martyr, they found that young people obviously were better because they could withstand the severe torture that brings them to the point of seeing into the afterlife. But for some reason, women get there much easier and quicker. So to me, that means, women give birth, they give life. So they're higher spiritual beings.
They're closer to God.
Yeah.
Which is the way I read into it. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I didn't see that as misogynistic at all.
I mean, I can see on the surface, I can totally see that. Absolutely. Because you're right. It's for a while there, it's what you classify as torture porn. Yeah. And it is hard. And I think the point is that it's supposed to be difficult. But when you get to the end, that to me was like, oh my God, there was a point to this. That's amazing. That's crazy. I love this. But definitely hard. It's not like I'm putting that on at night to wind down. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like once every 8-year watch. But
yeah, I mean, you are right. There is a point where you're like, right when you're about to just click off because you're like, dude, I don't know if I can watch much more of this. This is just like mindless torture. But then the I think it's the woman it's a woman and a man. Then at some point, the woman is like, don't worry, you're almost there. Goes from being this cruel sadist to, don't worry, you're almost there. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Much like Sarah's line, don't look it in the eyes and it'll go faster.
Oh, yes. Yes. So now we are going to circle back to that. Sorry, listeners at home, I apologize for the martyr's diversion.
We always got time for a martyr's diversion.
Yeah. Kind of like we were talking about the extreme sadism in Martyrs, in your film, there's a point where the normal logic of safety stops applying. How did you signal that the rules have changed without spelling it out?
Well, we see it once you know that the family's turned, but also I think the key is that line that I just mentioned when Sarah, who plays mother, leans down and says, just don't look it in the eyes. It'll go faster. So that kind of signifies that the story is like, oh, wait, what? You guys aren't really the immediate threat. There's something else.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun turn to unlock that in the script. And then after that, I think the visuals really take it over and you're kind of put into a more surreal state. You're not dealing with the ordinary anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes into the absolute purely concentrated surreal at that point. I mean, like surrealist gore.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Panos Cosmatos, who did Mandy, Beyond the Black Rainbow. So he's been a really big influence on me, but also you can see how much Kubrick's come from through his influences as well. So to me, Kubrick is the ultimate. And I mean, 2001 to me is a frightening movie, which deals with surreal horror. That's how I interpret it as well. So I think that's where a lot of it comes from too.
Yeah. Mandy, is that the one with Cage?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife and I watched that when we were on vacation one time.
Nice. That's a good vacation movie.
Yeah. I just remember him being at the wheel doing that.
Yeah.
The Cage. That shit.
Drenched in blood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a beautiful movie.
So I understand that the idea came from a secluded cabin trip, and that was you and your wife. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the first image, thought, or bodily feeling that told you this is a horror story?
I have a terrible habit when I go on these vacations with my wife and I in these secluded places just to think about what's the scariest or most terrible thing that could happen. It's a blessing and a curse, I suppose. But this case, it was we were right on the edge of the woods. It was this beautiful spot, but it was nighttime. And I just pictured one of us going missing and then the other person just being left there. And I was like, it's just that thought of like, what happened to them?
Hopeless romantic, are you?
Absolutely. But then the part, yeah, like who am I going to be having my glass of wine with and playing cards with tonight? This is going to suck now. No, I'm just kidding. But, having your partner go missing and then having the added, element where then you hear them screaming in the woods and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I go? Do I stay? I mean, you can never win because everyone's going to be like, don't fucking go out there. Everything would have been fine. You're like, sure, that's not interesting. I want to see a character who does make that decision. And I think we all do. You know what I mean?
Well, when you build a story like this, do you map out a mythology behind the family in the woods? Even though it's not part of the film because it's a short film and you don't have time for quite that much background. But like for yourself, do you create it or do you keep yourself partly in the dark as well?
No, we definitely had the background and the situation that they came from as well. I've got that whole thing written out and we discussed that with the actors on the day as well, just so they knew exactly how to portray what they're going through, in the right manner. So yeah, 100%. And that's something that we would explore a bit more in the future as well, which would be exciting if we get the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this being pitched anywhere to become a feature?
Yeah, 1,000%.
What is it called? Proof
of concept.
Proof of concept.
Yeah. Yeah. Which helps to have something that you've shot, which is great. But yeah, just, in a couple of weeks, got a couple of meetings that, I'm going to be pitching this a lot more, which will be a lot of fun to get out there. It'll be interesting to see how people, I mean, you never know how it's going to land, right? Everybody wants something different. But then when you get down to that, opportunity, it's like, is this too big of a swing or is this just big enough? So it's also kind of riding that line. You got to find the right collaborators for it, but it's definitely opportunity, I think. And I think as horror fans, for me anyways, that's kind of fun seeing something unexpected and that does take a big swing, but you can also stay grounded with it,
So what types of production companies do you pitch to? Because, I know very little about it, but I remember I looked one, I believe it was the one for Speak No Evil, the original Christian Tafter. And it was actually kind of this subsidiary that was attached to a medical device manufacturer. I can't remember what they made. I think it was durable medical equipment, like, maybe for surgery, stuff like that.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's just like whoever owned it or, I don't know if it's one person, a group of people just decided, yeah, we want to diversify, if that's the word. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just expand. Yeah.
Movie production.
Invest. Yeah. Maybe he knew that guy's making a lot of coin doing some medical devices that kind of tracks. But, there's a lot of smaller production companies, which is interesting. Obviously the larger ones are kind of getting, amalgamated into one, this Paramount Warner merger. But, yeah, I really, since the last film, I was able to get some representation, which is great. So I'm kind of following their lead and, seeing what comes from those opportunities. So it's really diverse. Like there's some production companies I'm pitching in Canada. There's some down in LA that I'll get to go chat with as well. Independent producers. You just never know. It's always that, gray area unless you're in that Hollywood door that you really know how it works. Like, for us, as filmmakers, we master our crafts on set, try to master your craft on set. You practice as much as you can. You can learn, you can get in there and do that. But that side of things, it's an interesting world. And a lot of independent filmmakers get to, get in there with the markets and pre-sales and how that all works. So we're finding investors. But, for me, that's definitely kind of, the unknown that I'm excited to learn more about. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Hell yeah. I mean, like what kind of, are you, is it a panel of people? You're standing there? Are you using some sort of visual aids? What is a pitch?
For me so far, it's been, either over Zoom That's kind of it's been more one-on-ones. Maybe there's a couple people in the room. This one I'll be going to LA just in person to actually be physically in the room with them, which always helps. Face to face is better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it really depends. I haven't experienced the big panel yet. You've heard like the boardrooms where it's just filled, and you're talking to this Zoom square of 6 to 8 people. I haven't experienced that yet, but we'll see.
No pressure.
Yeah, I'm game for it all. I know. And that's the other thing too. It's funny. I think we're starting to learn as filmmakers that you do also have to be salesmen as well. When you're really like, I just want to make this beautiful art or this horrific art. Like, can someone else sell this? You know what I mean? Which is funny, but it's part of the game. It's part of the hustle. So it is just, you're always learning, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, on the writing side of things, like literature, as far as the indie community, there's people that publish completely independently, they use the print on demand and stuff like that. But other than that, everything's theirs. They have complete creative control. And then there's small presses, sometimes owned by one person, sometimes owned by a married couple or something like that. And the whole thing, everybody's got a day job. They're just trying to do this. Some people don't care if they make money or if they ever make money, and then some people are trying to make money and some people do. Some people, there's a couple of people I know right off the top of my head, Chris Triana and Aaron Beauregard, that are completely self-published and make a living doing it. That's what they do.
That's the dream.
Yeah. So is it kind of like that in the indie film community, or is everybody just striving like, no, I'm going to hit it big?
I think everyone hopes for the lottery ticket, everyone has their own unique journey. It's so interesting. Like, I meet filmmakers who just do indie stuff and, you live on a certain means in between projects, because you're not making a ton of money on the movies when you even get to make them. Say they have a couple of $1 million budget. You're not making a ton, and it's also going to last you about 2 years. And then I think if you're in the studio system, it's a lot different. Like, Parker Finn, who's doing Smile 3, has got a lot different situation than, say, some of the Canadian independent filmmakers that I know.
Yeah.
And, I myself, I keep a day job where I'm working vis effects, and then I do this outside when it's, when the clock stops here. I go from this computer to this computer. I get some work on my own stuff. So it's a lot of juggling, which it sounds like you're familiar with as well. You just find a way to make it work, because if you have to make a living, there's no shame getting a job. If it's a coffee shop, if you're working in film, I enjoy working in film because it allows me to learn more, especially working in visual effects. That's a whole area of post-production can be, well, it's ever evolving. So you're always learning no matter what. So that's just more tools for me in my toolkit as a filmmaker. So that's great for me. And if it pays the bills as well, that's even better. That's a cherry on top. So.
Mm. Well, circling back to the film, how do you decide what to leave unexplained so it stays haunting instead of just frustrating?
Yes. The age old question. Yeah. It's a fine line. Definitely. This one, I definitely pushed it. But I also, that was my intention. I was like, this one, I really want to go for it. And I wanted to take the viewer on a big journey in a short amount of time. You know what I mean? We start here at this cabin and then we end up over here, and you're like, how the fuck did we get here in 12 minutes? And it's been interesting to see people's reactions to that, because some love it. Some are like, hold on. Wait a second. But that's always the risk you take. You take a big swing and you stick to what your intention was. And, we're all very proud of what we did on this, which was it was fun to, I don't know, just lean into that. Again, coming from a Kubrick or a Panos Cosmatos, especially on this film, inspiration, it tracks. If you're going to watch Beyond the Black Rainbow or 2001, then you watch this, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Not that I'm comparing my films to any of those, but I'm just saying, if they're much more
cerebral.
Yeah.
Yours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The ultimate trip Defile, I think they're calling it, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, but it is something you definitely have to keep in mind. Like even with Shadow of God, that one was we really told that line of, you still want it to be palatable, but you want the unknown to be there so that they question more at the end of your short film. That's the goal, that you're like, well, what was that all about? I want to know more. So yeah, I think it's always a learning process, and with each one comes the limits to which you can toe that line. And then yeah, you never know until you hit that first festival and you're in the audience with everyone else watching it. It's fun and terrifying. So
Yeah. Well, horror is good at stripping the polite masks people wear with their partners. What did you want the pressure in Defile to expose about that relationship?
I think I kind of touched on it before. This is also a story of Ash and Sean's breakup. So it's really recognizing they've come to this spot and they both know it's over. Sean wants to keep going. Ash knows it's done. So it's almost in a surrealistic way showing that journey of Ash. You know, she's got to kill off this part of herself, to put it harshly, kill off this relationship, end it, if you will, and move on. So I think it's all about her overcoming where she's at in life because she doesn't recognize herself anymore, which we also show in the short. You know what I mean? So there's a point where she literally sees that, where she doesn't know who she's become. She doesn't recognize herself. So she's got to move on. And that's not an easy thing to do. You become complacent in a relationship. It can really eat away at you if you're not happy or if it's not fulfilling, So I think that was also a really interesting thing to explore between those two.
Gotcha. Well, so how did you and Tanea Beatty talk about who her character is before the horror starts so that she isn't just a final girl archetype?
Yeah, to go back what I was just touching on, I think it was that especially. It's, you've decided, you've mustered up the courage to end this relationship. So that's where she's coming from. She's gathering her strength to finally do it. Whereas Sean is, can we work this out? Let's just talk this over. I know it's not working. Like, what can we do? And she's like, that's it. This is done. So I think that helped her, again, using this as a more surrealistic journey for what she goes through and her breakup. I think that kind of helped inform her decisions, but also we were really conscious of not to make it the character too heroic. We wanted to keep her in reality while all this surrealistic stuff happens around her. So the note was very much, how would you react if this happened to you in real life? And we're like, go with that. Because we want the audience to go along with the journey with her and experience this whole thing, because it doesn't make sense to her. It's not like she's figuring stuff out as she goes. She's experiencing this as the audience does. So she's like, what the fuck? Or it's terrifying, or you're following the sound of your loved one as he's crying out in pain in the woods, being dragged away. So you're like, just play off of that, which I think is fun. And it just wasn't the type of movie also to be a classic kind of final girl where it's like, grab the chainsaw, let's fucking go. It's so, yeah, that was important to us as well.
Yeah. Well, kind of pivoting off of you giving Tanea notes and just her as an actor, her performance has to move through fear, calculation, and survival incredibly quickly. What did you see in her that told you she could carry that turn?
Her resume is quite extensive and it's so impressive. I mean, Hostiles, she was in for the whole movie, with Christian Bale. Incredible performance, really harsh movie, deals with some really heavy stuff. So that was obviously great to see her in that role. And then, to see her turn on Yellowstone, where she had this subplot where she was the love interest that comes back into town for 5 or 6 arcs. So her range was just incredible. And she was able to be thrown in these situations with either the biggest show in the world that's going right now and these actors, or, act alongside Christian Bale in Hostiles. So you're like, absolutely. If she's willing to be part of this, we would love to have her. So I'm so happy it worked out. She was so great to work with, and yeah, and she's got one of the best screams. I got to say, she really goes for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the woods feel like a boundary between the normal self and something uglier underneath. What did you want that landscape to do to the viewer?
The dichotomy of it, I think, is what's so interesting. It's beautiful 1 minute, then it's terrifying the next. So it's always a fun backdrop to play with. When you look out in the dark and you just see this wall of trees, it's so hard not to just think of like, what's out there. So it's just a fun kind of device to have as a filmmaker to play with and try some new things, right? Just to, I guess, give new fears for people to be afraid of when they're at their Airbnb. So.
Yeah. When they're at their Airbnb.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Give some new phobias.
Uh-huh. Well, if Defile does become a feature, what would you expand without over-explaining what makes the short unsettling?
Definitely expand more on, give a glimpse more into the group in the woods and the mythology around there, and just expand what's really fun about the story for the feature is that it's Ash overcoming her fears to fight for her family to get him back in this one long night of survival. So it's this high energy, fast paced tale that starts off just kind of calm in the woods and then just erupts into this night of violence and survival. So yeah, does that answer the question? Definitely. Yeah. We'll definitely get into more what's in the woods, and you get exposed more to that, which is really fun.
Gotcha.
In a fucked up way.
Yeah. So the short is the shot of DMT, and the feature is the full ayahuasca trip.
Yes. That, you know what? I'll use that on my pitch.
All right, do it.
I like it. That's great.
Well, moving on to your other work, your film Compulsion treats violence like addiction or ritual instead of cartoon evil. What were you trying to understand about compulsion as a human problem?
We wanted to do a slasher film, and I was just trying to think of an interesting lens to do it. Slashes have been done so many times. So what's something interesting that we could kind of do a take on? And for me, it was, well, who's the person behind the mask and what's driving them to do this? Like, you always hear the guy breathing in the old 80s movies, and that's fun. That's fine. But I don't know. There's a human underneath it. That was interesting to me to know what kind of makes this person tick and what drives them, knowing that it's wrong. So what is this compulsion that you need to see human blood? What does that feed? What does that do to you? How do you navigate your life around it? So yeah, I thought it was very rich territory to kind of explore.
Well, moving on to your other film, In the Shadow of God, it ties grief to a buried threat at home. So what pulls you towards horror where the danger is inherited?
Oh, I think that is, this generational trauma, whether that comes from something as in the short, the basis of that is her father was an alcoholic, passed that along to her. It can be something as that through genetics, where you're like, you inherit the faults to an extent, I guess, right? Of your parents or your family's lineage. Then just to have it at home, I think it just ties it all together, because home can be a scary place too, depending on what you're going through. It can feel like a horror movie. So I think having that setting where it's supposed to be familial and there's all these good feelings and this warmness, and you think back to the good times, but then you're brought immediately back to the not so great times in the present. Again, it's just an interesting lens to kind of explore. And I think everybody can relate to that,
Gotcha. Yeah. It's like you don't really need anything supernatural, like with alcoholism, for instance. It can be nature and nurture. Nature, you just got a natural proclivity for alcoholism, but then by being raised by an alcoholic, you suffer trauma that makes you even more so want to use alcohol to treat, symptoms of the trauma. So it's like a double whammy.
It's a nasty cycle for sure. And then what the sinister threat is on that, is also derived from generational trauma playing alongside of that. So it's kind of, how can we learn from our past in order to make our future selves better or, leave a better place than when we left it?
Gotcha.
There's hope. There's hope in all these, I swear. Carried under buckets of blood and violence, but
that's not until the future though, or till the feature though. If you finance his feature, he will give you a happy ending.
I promise. We'll all walk out holding hands, singing together. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, in the anthology space, like The Summoning of Baby Blue, which I tried to find that at the last minute. I'm sure it's easy to find. I just couldn't find it at the last minute. What changes for you when you're contributing to a shared world instead of building it yourself?
Well, that one actually, they just used In the Shadow of God, which I approached as a standalone proof of concept, but it worked for their overarching. So I think in that situation, they chose thematically similar stories and then shot the wraparound after, which is a really cool way of doing a feature to kind of package it all up.
So you're saying it was based on In the Shadow of God?
No, they just, I had it shot already. So they used it. They're saying, hey, can we use this as part of ours? So I think they selected, they curated through festivals and alter, and they chose those films. And then they wrote the wraparound to match all of that, which is tricky, and a cool way of approaching it. But in that way, it's a really, again, it's a cool way for independent filmmakers to kind of band together and make a feature film that they can now sell. Because the short films, you can't really make your money back.
Interesting.
Unless, I think with Parker Finn, Paramount bought Smile. I don't know what that looks like, but I mean, still you're signing on to be a DGA director. So you're doing fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a cool way of, being able to have something that's sellable and that you can make some actual income off of, which is really interesting.
So I apologize if I'm a little dense on this one. So you're saying the shorts edited together in a feature?
So yeah, it's an anthology. They've taken In the Shadow of God as it is, and then they have a wraparound story. Then whichever the other shorts are involved with that, they tell the in-between story.
So there are like original shot segues?
Yeah. So usually what they'll do is that they'll shoot a custom, like they call it, I guess, a through line. They'll introduce the story. So however they want to present it, like if you're doing road trip horror where it's like, oh, there's a family on the road trip. And then it's like, you cut away to this story at the gas station, this over here. So with this one, I think it was all around to do with kind of children. I haven't seen the full thing myself or the other shorts. So I think that was, however they did the through line is, it's always kind of the fun and difficult part because you have to connect it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw the trailer, but
yeah. Whether it's someone telling a story, then it's like, then you can start with this one and then go to this one. So
interesting. Yeah. That is that done regularly or is this kind of like an anomaly?
No, I think it can be a really good way, like, especially, you meet all these amazing filmmakers and all these other films you see on the festival circuit. So it's a really cool way. You've already shot 75% of what could be a feature film. So let's write a through line and then hope we can sell it and get some distribution.
But I mean, so it's done often, like there's other films like this. Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You've said in an interview that high pressure decisions lead to your best ideas. Can you describe a moment when constraint forced a choice that improved the story?
I mean, you're always faced with one every shoot. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like a specific one. Sometimes it's as simple as we don't have time for coverage. We have to shoot this in a oneer. And that can produce a really interesting scene that you never anticipated being all in one, it's the actors, it's just more intimate, there's more stakes. So I think that would probably be a couple times where you look back on when you're editing and you're like, you know what? That was probably the best decision we could have made, as opposed to classic, let's do wide, punch it for coverage, get some beauty shots. It's like, or, we only got time to make it frenetic and we got one go at it. Just go. And then you just trust your actress and trust your camera operator, DP. And yeah, I don't know. It's exciting in that sense, right? Because everyone's got to just really lock in. So I think for me, that's probably one of those. But also there's moments where you have to be an editor on the fly. And it's like, you know what? I don't think we need to do that as planned. We can just jump to this. But you gotta make sure, because when you get to the edit, that's always when you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What did past Brian give present Brian to work with?
How involved are you with the editing? Are you the editor, or do you have somebody?
Quite involved. Me and my friend Nick, we edited the first two. So we both edited Compulsion and In the Shadow of God. And then we had some help on this one just because the project was getting a little bit bigger. And so we had this guy, Nathan, come help us, but we were very much part of it, over his shoulder. He would come over, we'd set up these sessions and we would go through it together.
There was, I feel like I remember reading something about, there was a scene that you cut. I can't remember if it was something you really didn't want to cut. It was painful too, but you said it ended up making the video or the film better.
You know what? I think I've done that for all of them.
Oh, okay.
Was it one in particular?
For Defile in particular.
Oh, well, there was actually a moment where when the family then kind of attacks the other family, there was going to be a lot more coverage of like kind of them wrestling in this fight and how they kind of get tied up and all this stuff. And it was one of those things where on the day, you're like, wait, because, the hours counting down, crew's got to get off the clock. We got to load out the trucks. We only got this location for so long and there's so much more to get. And then, that's when you're just like, hey, wait, hold on. What if we just cut to a wide and we just hear it? Like, it's stuff like that where, on the day you kind of just get these ideas that you're like, I think that's all we need. Cause you don't need to show all that. You just have some audio overlay of just like this big creepy wide of the cabin. It's almost just as effective or even more effective. Cause then you're like, what the fuck are they doing to them in there? So I think that would be one of them. Aside from, I'm sure the first cut was like 25 minutes. So you have to, you have to kill your darlings. You're like,
yeah,
you show it to your friends. They're like, this was way too long. You got to cut it. You're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Is that hard being the director, cognizant of how difficult it was to get a certain scene to then be in the editorial process and have to slice that onto the cutting room floor? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
We're getting better at it. My friend Nick's really good about keeping me focused on the story. But yeah, I'll definitely be like, that took us 6 hours to get that shot. And he's like, sorry, man, I don't think we need it.
Gotta go.
I'll try till the bitter end, but it's like, usually it's like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun.
Gotcha. Well, kind of, piggybacking off what you spoke about, as far as using the sound to let the viewer's mind take over and fill in the gaps, with what frightens them the most. How do you direct an actor towards something you can feel but can't fully articulate, especially in scenes that live on dread instead of dialogue?
Yeah, that is the interesting and the fun part of working with actors and directing on set. I think probably the easiest way for me is to relate it to something that they can conjure feelings back to or can be tangible. You know what I mean? Relate it to, depending on what the scene is. If you have to feel fear, it's like, think of this time when blah, 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 blah. It is kind of the easiest. Or, sometimes on set with, Sarah, Adam, or Tanea, Fletcher, they were the kind of actors where it's like, this is happening outside. As long as they can hit the context, they're like, got it. They're like, do a take and they're like, do you want me to dial it up, dial it back? It's so, I think it really depends on who you work with. But yeah, in those cases, I think you just, again, try and find something that's relatable that we all kind of have an experience with, that they can draw upon that emotion and bring to it.
Well, so I understand that you're involved in some, I don't know, would you call it a docudrama, Into the Abyss? Or is that
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sarah Canning, Adam Lolliker, so they play Henry and Mother in Defile, the creepy family that shows up. We went in and got the rights to this book on a true Canadian story that happened in the 80s. So we've been writing that for, I guess, about a year and a half now. We've been developing this story, this beautiful story that this woman wrote about her father, who survived this plane crash. So it's been, and that's a whole different thing because it's not horror. It's a true story. These are real lives. So to adapt that into a feature has been really challenging, but really fulfilling as well. To have this author essentially hand over her family's life story and say, I trust you. Let's see what you can do with it. It's been really beautiful with that. It's been a great experience. It's a really fascinating story. It's about a commuter plane. There was 10 people on board. 4 of them survived. It was the pilot, a politician, a cop, and the prisoner he was carrying. So it's just like, did you make this up? The first time I heard it, I was like, as if. And it happened in the province that I grew up in, Alberta, which is next to British Columbia. It happened in the dead of winter. And it's this fascinating story of their survival and then what happens to their lives after that. And it's really beautiful. So that's been really fun to be part of.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with real loss and real survivors, how does that change the way you build tension and choose what to show?
Yeah, you want to be respectful for sure, but you want also the audience to know what the situation is. So in a plane crash, you could definitely go all out, but is that what the scene needs right now? That's another line you want to toe very carefully because, say for something like Defile, if there's a plane crash in that, we'll go all out. But when it's something real lives, like there's enough that you can show through glimpses or just hints of that people understand. It's like, get it. And it's real lives, right? So you don't want to glorify anything. You want to shine a light on the beauty of how they've all come together from these different walks of lives, and all banded together to get the survivalism. So it's just not the story where you really need to dive into that. Cause the audience will get it enough, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Without showing too much.
Well, pivoting from your artistic creation of film, you are also in a punk band called Waingro. Can you tell me a little bit about both the name and where does this play into your life as far as your creative development? Was it music before film simultaneously? And I did watch the video, like it's a professionally shot and edited video of one of your songs that's live, played live somewhere.
Nice.
Did you guys edit that or?
That was, we had some friends edit that for us, which was always great to have. But, me and my brother got into music, early on. We loved film growing up, but, as everyone says, it's not something you ever think you can really make a go at. And cause it's just so immense. Like, where do you start? So we definitely started with music, before getting into film. But since, that's played a hand, as I mentioned, my friend Nick Yakishin before, he's another really talented musician. And we do the scores for all the short films as well, which is really fun, as well as edit together. So that's a cool way to tie it in. But Waingro, the name comes from the movie Heat.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. He was just, we always thought it'd be a funny name just because of the way he looks. Uh-huh. He's got that nasty skullet. He's a piece of shit. We know it. We're not glorifying Waingro by any means. Yeah. It's just more of it's twofold. It's funny. People who get it are like, yeah, that's hilarious. Kevin Gage nails that role. But also, he's the whole reason everything falls apart. So it's kind of a fun kind of way to say like, what a piece of shit. He ruins De Niro's life. He's the crux of all of this. He could have gotten away, but it's Waingro. Fuck this guy. So it was just, yeah, it was fun to kind of come up with that name, but also then to write from that character, write the lyrics. It's, you know, all of that is it's been really fun to be like, okay, what was he before he got to meet Cully and these guys in Heat? What did he do? Did he start a cult? Did he do this? Was he a nom? Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's been an interesting way as a jumping off point. Cause I don't know. It's angry music, I guess you could say, but to me, I just get stoked and I like to yell stuff. So I don't really have anything that important to say at the time with the music. So it was just fun to have a cool, surreal well to draw from, just to have it more good time music. But yeah.
I envision Waingro as being dishonorably discharged from the army, from serving 2 tours in Vietnam, convicted of war atrocities, something like that.
100%. Comes back, starts dealing meth, starts a cult. It goes wrong. It writes itself, you know? Totally. But I mean, it is an interesting, like, it's a fun project to have that different aspect. Like, oh, actually, that would be fun place to write lyrics because.
Well, it's funny how many articles about him I had to sift through to find your band. Waingro is synonymous with that guy.
Totally.
I had to put in band before you guys came up. It was just his scary freaking face the entire way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, what is that outlet release or process that filmmaking can't quite reach? Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not the case for you, but I would assume filmmaking and music is cathartic in some way.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they're both great outlets. I think what music offers is a bit more instant gratification, where you can pick up a guitar, you can write a song, you know, you can produce something right there on the spot. Whereas film, you have to incubate. You have to meticulously plan. You have to get everyone's schedules aligned. You know, it's, you know, a year or two to make even a proof of concept. And sometimes an album can take that long to write, but you know what I mean? You can at least get a kernel of an idea, record it on your phone. You can layer it. You can have something within a day. I think that's the real attraction to music. And also playing live is just fun as hell. Like,
yeah.
It's really fun to play in front of people and to see them react to it, to get into it. But I think that for me, that's one thing, you know, if I'm writing and if I'm stuck, sometimes you're like, you feel creative, but you just can't overcome whatever this problem is. You just pick up an instrument, a guitar or something, and then you could just kind of get that creative outlet going and just, again, get that instant, like, oh, right. Yeah, that sounds great. It gives you that serotonin boost, and you can go back to, say, a different discipline and try that. For me anyways, I find it's very helpful in that sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You know, I would daydream about what it would be like to direct a film, and you know, the more actual directors that I interview, I realize, you know, my addictive personality, I'm not good with delayed gratification.
Oh, I see. Yeah. It's a long game for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure the payoff is orgasmic, but it's not my strong suit.
Yeah, that's fair. It's definitely not for everyone. And, yeah, you need patience, but it's a fun journey. It's so much work, and you're exhausted when it's done. It takes forever. Once you have it, you're like, man, let's do another one.
Mm-hmm.
It is addictive in that sense. For me anyways, I just absolutely love it. So it's fun to find that.
So I guess you've got music in between shoots, or is it just one day after the other? Or are you like trying to knock it out in a big block?
Yeah. For these, I mean, it depends. Usually it's just for cost effectiveness. You can get your insurance, your gear rentals. You just knock it out in 4 or 5 days, or however long you need. Compulsion, we were able to do it over a series. I think we did 5 or 6 weekends. I think it just depends on the means, but both work. You know, some people shoot a feature over like a year on the weekends. You know, I think it just depends on your resources in that sense. But our last couple have been just, I think about 5 days at a time. Just go out and get it all done. It's great.
Yeah, I guess that would make it a little easier when you're constantly, you know, have your nose in it.
Yeah,
I think that would make it a little easier. Yeah,
totally.
Okay.
And the fun thing within the Shadow of God, we went to, we ferried our crew over to, it's called the Sunshine Coast in BC. So it's this beautiful, piece of land. You can only get by ferry. But what was cool with that is that we all stayed together. The house we shot in, we slept on the couch. We slept in, everyone took a room. So you woke up together and we were just all there. It was kind of like film camp. It was such a fun experience. It was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what is the life of Brian Sepanzyk like outside of filmmaking and music?
My wife and I like to get out and explore a lot of this. We live in British Columbia in Canada. Like I said before, we're so lucky to be close to all these islands and coastal towns. So we love just kind of, exploring that and staying at these different spots and seeing what this beautiful coast that we have so close to us, we can explore. Other than that, just we're getting into summertime here in Vancouver, which is absolutely incredible. So we're going to enjoy that. But yeah, a lot of film, a lot of music.
Awesome.
And watching movies and, watching Martyrs over and over again.
Yes. Sounds good. Well, Brian, it has been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you, Vincent. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. So as we bring the show to a close, is there anything you'd like to plug, reiterate, or let your viewers and listeners know about?
Yeah, we got those Waingro albums. If you guys like heavier music, that's always fun. Short films, we have all three of ours on Alter, which is great. Channel on YouTube, so you can find Defile, In the Shadow of God, and Compulsion. And hope to be making a feature film soon. We're in development on In the Shadow of God, so we're hoping that all comes together. And then, like I said, we'll be pitching Defile, so always looking to see what comes next. Or Into the Abyss, we'll see. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, listeners at home, all links are in the description. And Brian, thank you again for joining me.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday for a new episode featuring the best and brightest authors and filmmakers of dark literature and film. So until then, stay healthy, stay sane, and as always, thank you for listening. See you next time.